My email was full, and I thank everybody who sent me this story. So we were not the first to talk about the story of this little girl here, but I did want to make sure that we get a lot of accurate information, and this is going to be an ongoing thing as far as the court proceeding process. Very crazy story, and I will tell you guys, I do have to give you a disclaimer. Give me just a second, because I got to put it on the screen, because the details in this story, I promise you, are probably going to make your skin crawl. Because you would think, as a father, as a parent, you would never violate your children, right? I don't think anybody would just naturally think to do nothing that freaking heinous. But then again, we have demons walking amongst us. So this story will contain material that may or may not be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your disclaimer. Now let me give you a AFC disclaimer. Let's get it. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And shout out to our friend in the chat, Dippy Escapes. If you guys want to do a deeper dive, I know she was on this story pretty early, so you guys can also go. She will post her link in the chat so you can find her channel, click it, and subscribe. Make sure y'all do that. Now, the tragic killing of a little girl by the name of Kei'mani, make sure we pronounce her name correctly and spell it correctly, K-E-I, M-A-N-I, Kei'mani Latigue, L-A-T-I-G-U-E. So if you guys want to look up that information, you got to be able to find it relatively easy. As soon as you type in her first name, with her having such a unique name, it is not going to be hard to find. You will not miss her face. The killing of this girl captured the attention of the community as well as the nation. The 13-year-old girl's body was found on March 24th at a burned out house in East Toledo after she was missing for nearly a week. So I'm going to tell y'all the details about to get graphic real quick. Also, you can take a look at the picture of this house. Just absolutely sad and wild what this 13-year-old baby had to go through. So I don't know how many of you guys have raised teenagers or maybe even have adult children. So I'm about to have adult children here later this year, actually. So that's a hell of a journey in itself. But I'm going to tell y'all, I remember the day that my daughter turned 13 because it's a milestone. It's a milestone going from age 12 to age 13. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, I'm going to be one of them shotgun daddies. A shotgun daddy that keeps his gun, and I dare any man to try my child in some type of way, to violate them, to hurt them, to abuse them, or anything. And I don't know that there was necessarily a healthy fear out there, but I'm thankful that my daughter hasn't had to go through anything like that. But just know I'm a very protective father, just like most parents would be. In this case, let me go back just for a second. In this case, you got this individual here who I'm not going to say a lot of nice things about. He's allegedly a father. He's a sperm donor. He is the biological creator, because he's not a father. He's not a man. He's not a human. He is the biological creator of this baby. Her father, by the name of Darnell Jones, which is this fool of Toledo, he is accused of being her murderer. He is currently in the Columbus area hospital after he was shot by Columbus police on March the 25th. Do you guys know that while they were actually trying to take him into custody, he got into a shootout with police? Can y'all believe that? Got into a shootout with police and survived. Okay? Let's go a little bit deeper into the story. The task force charged with investigating the county's Children's Services Agency after the killing of 13-year-old Kei'mani Latigue is not open to applications as its appointed leaders began forming the group. Toledo Municipal Court Judge Timothy Coleman cautioned against knee-jerk reactions to the county's justice reform efforts after the death of Kei'mani Latigue created scrutiny of the accused killer's history. And he does have a history. Let me see if I can pull up his history here real quick. Y'all give me a second here. Give me a second. It doesn't. Okay, so this one doesn't give his history. Okay, so let's keep going. So as far as this house, let me go back to the picture of this house, because this article I thought was a little bit easier to dissect it. It's not. But let's go back to this house. Right here. So there is no demolition date set for this house, but I think they actually already demolished it. So this article might be a little bit behind. But water service has been disconnected at the derelict Miami Street house where Kei'mani Latigue's body was discovered on March the 24th. So who's in there? That is Dippy. You can let me know. Didn't they already demolish the house? They just did that, I think, like a few days ago. Accused murderer Darnell Jones, the father, has a history of increasingly violent offenses. When Angela Silva saw her neighbor hurl 2 televisions off the balcony of his second-story apartment one evening in July of 2019, she decided to call the police. Like, why are they leaving articles but not giving more details? All right, let's talk about a little bit of his history here. So this is coming from ToledoBlade.com. When Angela Silva saw her neighbor hurl 2 televisions off the balcony of his second-story apartment on one evening in July of 2019, she called the police. They quote, "I don't know if he was drunk or what drugs he was on, but he was just so violent," Ms. Silva told the Blade while recalling the events of that summer night. "He was just throwing things out of the window. He threw a couple of TVs out the door off the balcony. We kept hearing these crashing noises." As police were headed to the apartment in the 400 block of 4th Street, a second call came in. The anonymous caller told police that he saw a man choking a female on the second-floor balcony of the same building. The caller was not the only one. "We all went out on the front porch and we were watching the whole thing go down," Ms. Silva said. You could see it right in front. Here from the side of the porch that led that he had her over the balcony by the throat. Why did they write this like this? They literally write the exact words that people say, "I get it, but damn, it's hard to read." And he was going to throw her off the balcony. She was screaming for her life. The man at the center of the mayhem at the home on 4th Street in East Toledo that night was Darnell Jones, who nearly 6 years later will be charged with murder and abduction in connection with the death of his 13-year-old daughter, Kei'mani Latigue, this angel here. Police showed up within minutes of the first 911 call and ended up arresting Jones, while the victim that night, who was Jones' wife, Antonia Sullivan, declined to pursue charges. Let me say this again, ladies and gentlemen, for those who might have a heart for women who have been abused or have been in abusive situations and get mad at me when I say the best way to avoid these situations or how to get out of these situations is to not get involved with the people who behave this way. You need to be very aware of who you're dating, who you're sleeping with, who you're making kids by, and definitely before you get married, right? Do your due diligence in dating. Ask questions. Pay attention to how people react. Like, I know people like the behavior of these thugs because they feel like these men will be protective. They seem intimidating. That seems attractive because you feel like that thug lion, like I talk about the thugs doing the thug lion, is going to protect you, and he's going to, go after anything that comes towards your family until that thug lion turns on you. These type of individuals, these type of animals are not meant to be tamed, right? She declined to pursue charges. So how bad do you feel for her? I don't. I don't at all. So if you're going to allow yourself to be treated that way, stay in a situation like that. And on top of that, you have a child that should be your first priority. And you don't separate yourself from that. I'm sorry, I just don't have a big enough heart to care about a situation like that when you won't put your child first. So she declined to pursue charges against Jones. Police had enough evidence and witness statements to proceed without her cooperation. Ms. Silva says she continued routinely hear Jones and Miss Sullivan arguing, as well as a loud commotion coming from their home. Jones was charged with a number of crimes that evening, including domestic violence assault, a pair of first-degree misdemeanors. The assault charge ended up being dismissed at the request of the prosecutor, and Jones pled no contest to the domestic violence charge. Wish this thing would act right. I can't get this thing to act right. Efforts to speak with Miss Sullivan for the story was unsuccessful. Let me see. They quote, "I think he did a long time in jail after that, didn't he?" Mrs. Silva's husband, Jeremy Brighton, asked his wife. "It didn't seem like we saw him after that." In reality, aside from the 11 days he spent in jail after his initial arrest that night, Jones didn't spend another day in custody for the domestic violence charge. Toledo Municipal Court Judge Nicole Corey found him guilty and sentenced him to 180 days in the Corrections Center of Northwest Ohio. And I want y'all to remember, she did not cooperate, which also probably had a large impact on how they sentenced him. So it's just kind of like, if she don't care, why should the courts care? She don't care about her kid, why should anybody else? Like, it's just ridiculous, the fact that the public, the outcry from the public cares more about your own kid than the parents do, which is just beyond me. They suspended 100 days, she suspended 100 days and gave him credit for 11 days he had already served in jail following his arrest. He was put on active probation for a year in order to complete treatment as directed by Unison Health. After showing proof of having completed the substance abuse treatment program, the remaining 69 days of his sentence were suspended. So, oh wow, damn, he's got more on here. Y'all want to hear the rest of this? Do your background checks. Thank you. Misdemeanor charges at age 19. So this is proving he is a thug, not by way of his skin color, but he is a thug by way of his behavior. Misdemeanor charges at age 19. So this goes on and on. The sentence was just the latest cycle of arrests and convictions for Jones that started in 2011 when the then 19-year-old was cited for disorderly conduct while intoxicated and resisting arrest. So y'all say y'all do want to hear it. Okay, let's keep going. Over the coming years, he would be in and out of court on a series of slowly escalating offenses, oftentimes receiving sentences that emphasize treatment, counseling, and rehab. In August of 2011, before his first two misdemeanor charges had made their way through the court system, Jones, who was then 20 years old, was charged with arson. How interesting is that? Let's back that picture up. Let me see if I can back that up. Y'all see this house is burned up, right? Everybody can see that? Let me put a bigger picture on the screen. Maybe that might help. Just so you can kind of get the gravity a little bit better, I'm going to make this bigger on the screen. Look at this burnt up house. I don't think it's a coincidence that this man, and I'm going to quote this again, he was 20 years old at the time and was charged with arson, a fourth-degree felony, for his role in trying to set a building on fire. And now you look here in 2024, 2025, and you have this situation where this house is burned up and his daughter's body was found inside this house, let alone what he's accused of doing to his daughter. How many of y'all know what he's accused of doing to his daughter? We ain't even got into those details yet. So let me take that off the screen. I just thought the irony was really high there. According to court records, Jones used a handheld lighter to ignite flammable liquid that had been poured on the door of a business in the 1400 block of Jackson Street. He and another man were seen fleeing the scene. In that case, Jones entered an Alford plea to a lesser charge of attempt to commit arson, which is a fifth-degree felony, and was found guilty by Lucas County Common Pleas Judge Ruth Ann Franks. In an Alford plea, a defendant does not admit guilt but acknowledges evidence is sufficient for conviction that could result in a more severe sentence, which is almost kind of like no contest, nolo contendere. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not really a legal expert, but I think that's correct. He will be sentenced to 4 years of community control with a raft of conditions, including 3 months in the correctional treatment facility, a mental health and drug and alcohol treatment facility in downtown Toledo. He was also required to get a job, not to use illicit drugs or alcohol, and he was ordered to obtain his GED. This felony conviction also meant he would never be able to ship, use, receive, purchase, own, transport, or otherwise possess a firearm or ammunition. They said ever. So that's pretty severe. This was a sanction that would generate multiple charges for Jones in the coming years. So there was, oh my God, there's more. Good Lord. Damn. Do y'all want me to keep going? This is, guys, I bullshit you not. There is a lot more. Do y'all want me to keep going? Because we believe, matter of fact, let me tell you more about the article first. The first article. Let's go back. I'm going to switch this article up. It had a bunch of links and not enough information for me. So let's go with this. So people.com. Kei'mani was reported missing on March 18th in Toledo, Ohio. Police issued an arrest warrant for her father, Darnell Jones, on Sunday, March the 23rd, in connection with her abduction, according to a statement from the Toledo Police Department. Kei'mani, this 13-year-old girl, was found in a burned-out, abandoned building in Toledo on Monday, after which authorities rendered an arrest warrant for Jones on a murder charge. He was arrested on Tuesday by Columbus police after allegedly exchanging gunfire with police, and he sustained critical wounds. But I think they expect him to survive that, and I hope he does, because I want him to see his day in court. The autopsy revealed that this baby died from multiple incised wounds of her neck, the coroner's office said in a statement. So, sounds like she was cut to death. So we'll get to that lady here in a second. That's actually a picture of him trying to cut off his braids and cut off all his hair, hoping that nobody would recognize him, just so y'all know. That's what that picture is. Brian Steele, a lieutenant with the Columbus Police Department, tells people that the child was found in a horrific condition. She had allegedly been nearly decapitated, his own daughter, decapitated, sexually assaulted, and her hands were cut off. And we believe that the father did these things. Cut her hands off. Nearly decapitated his own baby. Worst of all, this man, we believe, sexually assaulted his daughter, his own daughter. Abandoned her in this house. And I don't know if he set the house on fire while she was in there, but her body was found in a burned out house. I wish they would have clarified that. In arrest warrants reviewed by People, Toledo police allege Jones provided inconsistent statements. I repeat, he provided inconsistent statements to police about his activity with his daughter as well as his whereabouts. When Columbus police approached him on Tuesday, Jones allegedly shot at an officer with a gun from inside his sweatshirt, Steele says. Officers opened fire on him, critically injuring him. Steele says he is now in stable condition. The officer was not injured. Now, let's go back to the nature of his behavior and let's talk more about his background. And this goes and it dates back before this man ended up dealing with this girl's mother. There's a long history that this man has. 2 months later after, let me see. So wait a minute. Hold on. Let me make sure I got this right. Wait. Nope. I'm skipping. Hold on. So the misdemeanor charges at age 19. And then we're going after that. 4 years later, it was 4 years later that Jones, at that point was 23 years old, would be a suspect in a felonious assault that would earn him a first charge of felon in possession of a firearm, which is a third-degree felony. Just after 9 p.m. on January 31st of 2015, police rushed to a Greenbelt Place apartment in the 800 block of Walnut Street that a report that a black male in a gray sweatsuit had fired a gun and run from the scene. Now, according to witnesses, Jones and another man were standing on the sidewalk when they started to argue. During the argument, Jones became angry. He pulled out a gun. This man fired a round at the victim's feet and ran off, according to police. He was chased by security into a nearby building in the 900 block of Walnut, where he was found hiding in a stairwell. In June of 2015, Jones will plead no contest and be found guilty by Lucas County Common Pleas Judge Gary Cook. He was sentenced to 2 years of community control. He was ordered to spend 6 months in the correctional treatment facility, given 3 months of work release, placed on electronic monitoring, and directed to get a job, complete an alcohol and drug treatment program, and go for a mental health assessment. So it don't sound like none of this stuff is working. Do y'all want me to keep going? Because he has more. Y'all want me to keep going? I want y'all to know who her father was and the type of man that the mother chose to create a child with. When this is all stuff, I'm pretty sure a simple background check would have given you some information on this man, right? By November of 2015, he was found to have violated his community control and ordered back to the work release facility. Things did not go smoothly for Jones at work release. In January of 2016, he lost his temper when told by corrections officers to finish his food before entering his dorm. Now, according to police, Jones got into a verbal confrontation with a corrections officer and then punched a window, cracking it. The ensuing misdemeanor criminal damage charge would lead to another community control violation. His supervision was transferred to the Cuyahoga County. So whoever said Cuyahoga County earlier, good job. That is correct. Y'all said keep going? Okay, I see you. The ensuing misdemeanor criminal damage charge would lead to another community control violation. His supervision was transferred to Cuyahoga County, where it appears he completed it in June of 2017. 2 months later, Jones would add a felonious assault charge to his growing portfolio of criminal behavior. Just after noon on August the 1st of 2017, emergency crews responded to the 1500 block of Monroe Street. They found a man with a large gash across his face that separated his nose and upper lip down the middle, as well as a wound on his cheek. He would be hospitalized overnight and needed more than 20 stitches to close his wounds. The man told police he had confronted Jones a few blocks away at 18th and Monroe Streets, accusing Jones of having robbed his nephew. The two men started to argue, and Jones, who was working on his car, smashed the man in the face with the vehicle's alternator. God dang it. For his part, Jones told police the man approached him while he was working on his car, picked up an old battery and smashed it on the street, and then started hitting Jones. Jones said he hit the man in self-defense, which I just don't believe that. Police would also interview Jones' new wife, Antonia Sullivan. The same woman, witnesses would later tell police he choked on the second floor balcony of the East Toledo apartment in 2019, who was sitting in Jones's car at the time. 7 days later, detectives charged Jones with felonious assault, a second-degree felony, for attacking the man with the alternator. He ended up pleading guilty, and in January 2018, he was sentenced to 180 days in the Correction Center of Northwest Ohio. His jail time was suspended, and he was put on 2 years probation. 6 months later, he violated his probation when he was arrested in June 1st of 2018 for disorderly conduct while intoxicated, while police found him standing outside of his home on Star Avenue yelling and cursing at people. While waiting for his community control violation hearing in June for the June incident, Jones caught yet another charge in October 20. Do y'all kind of see where we're going with this? He caught yet another charge in October of 2018. In that instance, police were summoned to a home in the 300 block of East Broadway Street. The homeowner called 911 to report someone trying to break into her house by prying open the front window. Police found Jones, who they described as highly intoxicated, on the woman's front porch. While she ended up deciding not to press charges, police arrested Jones for disorderly conduct while intoxicated. Finding an open pocket knife in his pants, police also charged him with carrying a concealed weapon. At his community control violation hearing in December 2018, Jones was found to have violated his probation. He was committed to the work release program for 60 days and given 2 weeks to find a job. You said it. They keep letting him out. And this man doesn't get prison time. They keep putting him in program after program after program. I'm sorry, but if you ask me, if I continue to do something and that thing that I'm doing is not working and I just continue to keep doing that same thing, clearly seeing that it's not working, what would you call that? What would you call that? What is the term for that? When you continue to do something that's not working, but yet you continue to keep doing that same thing that clearly is not working. Aside, he said a wasted time. I agree. Aside from disorderly conduct while intoxicated, while intoxicated charge in May of 2019, which was later dismissed, Jones' next encounter with police will be the assault of his wife on the second floor balcony of their apartment in July of 2019 that was witnessed by Miss Sylvia and other neighbors. In April of 2020, Jones was on the receiving end of a violent argument with a neighbor. According to police, around 1 a.m. on April 21st of 2020, Jones, who was then 28 years old, entered the neighboring residence of James Hartwick, 29 years old, of the 400 block of 4th Street without his knowledge. Another man at the residence, Jonathan Hartwick, 26 years old, heard Jones allegedly make entry. During the verbal exchange between the two, Mr. Hardwick fired at least one round from his .40 caliber pistol, striking Jones in the chest. This boy is bulletproof. Jones was transported to Mercy Health St. Vincent Medical Center. Mr. Hardwick was never charged for the shooting. His last apparent encounter with police prior to the disappearance of Kei'mani was August of 2022, when he was arrested for third-degree felony of felon in possession of a firearm and misdemeanor offenses, discharging a firearm, possession of drug paraphernalia, and disorderly conduct while intoxicated. In that case, police responded to the shot spotter alert and found Jones lying in a parking lot of a daycare at 11:30 p.m., highly intoxicated and clutching a gun. The misdemeanor charges were subsequently dismissed at the request of the prosecutor, and Jones ended up pleading guilty to a lesser offense of attempted having weapons while under disability, a fourth-degree felony, and using weapons while intoxicated, a first-degree misdemeanor. What the freaking hell? How does that make any sense? To just keep letting this man off, letting him off, and he keeps getting off light, dismissing charges and whatever the hell else. At his sentencing in November of 2022, damn, I wish I could quit doing this, messing with this thing. Lucas County Common Pleas Judge Lindsay Navarre found Jones is not, amenable to community control. Let me see if I can look this word up. I don't know what that means. Amenable? What does that mean? Amenable. Open and responsive to suggestion, easily persuaded or controlled. So he is not amenable to community control and sentenced him to 12 months in prison for the felony and 180 days in the Correction Center of Northwest Ohio for the misdemeanor. The sentences were to run concurrently at the same time. So how funny is that? How funny is that you get a different judge looking at this and now you get a different result? So how is it that he was given all of these different chances and he's proving that he does not deserve any leniency and they kept giving this man leniency? It's kind of like how they said we just needed a different president outside of Biden and put Trump in there. So it looks like in this situation, you needed a different judge. And this judge was like, the hell with all that community control. He's not learning nothing. They sent his ass to prison. They should have sent him to prison for 20 years or more, give him a life sentence. That's what he actually needs. But he gonna get it now. What do y'all think they're gonna give him for murdering his daughter the way that he did? Y'all think do you think a different judge would try to give him community control for murdering his daughter, give him rehab, tell him to find a job, don't touch any more guns and drugs, Freddie, go get a jobby, Freddie, I got my fingers crossed, go get a jobby, Freddie, I got my fingers crossed, crossed. Following the completion of his sentence, Jones ended up settling on Willard Street in East Toledo. His neighbors there, when contacted by the Blade, recalled far more sedate encounters with the accused murderer. Tony Fuller, a neighbor, said he would never have thought Jones would be charged with the murder of his own daughter. So they said he was laid back. He's cool. I don't know what he was thinking. One of Jones' Willard Street neighbors, who would only give his first name by the name of Kyle, said he knew Jones and Kei'mani. He said he would watch his daughter play with Kei'mani on their street. She was always out there with my daughter, and Jones would always be on the porch. I wish she would have said something. Cynthia Beckwith says she didn't know he lived on her street and said it's horrifying, referring to Kei'mani's death. Nina Turner, who was an ex-girlfriend, says she was surprised when she heard about the charges. Let me say that again. Probably another dumbass ex-girlfriend that had sex with this damn fucking fool says she had no idea and she was surprised at the charges. Why would anybody be surprised that an arsonist might be responsible for burning up a building or killing somebody, or somebody who has multiple gun-related offenses might have an incident with being shot by the police, or always end up in some violence or gun or arguing or fighting or running or stabbing or whatever the hell else is going on, or hitting people with alternators. You'd be surprised if you looked up his record. Why would you be surprised? Why would you have this many? Why would you date this person and not do a background check? Let me say this, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, especially to my ladies, because I know we got some fellas out there. Shout out to my fellas. Fellas, y'all better check these ladies before you date them, while you're dating them, and definitely before you ever bring your kids around them. Ladies, because the dynamic is usually y'all are the custodial parents of the children. If you have a kid or children, stop bringing these men around your kids. Do a freaking background check. I don't care what it costs. I don't care if it's free, $1, $20. Spend the money, because if your child's life is not worth it, which I would hope it is, then that's on you. But I've been trying to tell people to make a proper investment in your children, and I think the simplest thing that you could do is do a background check on the person you're dealing with. So there's a good likelihood prior to this 13 years ago that the mother of this girl and every ex-girlfriend he had prior could have did a background check and would have found something on his record to show, yeah, I probably might need to leave this dude alone. She said she was surprised. His ex-girlfriend said she was surprised when she heard about the charges. The pair share a 3-year-old daughter. Miss Turner and Jones were never was never violent towards her. He went to work every day, she said. He would come home and he took care of the household. He never whooped or spanked the kids or yelled at them. We never argued. When Kei'mani first came up missing, they made it seem like she was a runaway, Miss Turner said. I'm thinking we were looking for a runaway until they pulled the evidence out of my home. It was my family that alerted me to him hiding evidence here, he said. Once I seen what it was, I knew that there was something more than just running away. After police collected evidence from her home, Miss Turner said she went to stay with the family because she was scared of the violence they pulled out of here. And people were suspecting she was involved with Kei'mani's murder, an allegation Miss Turner vehemently denies. If it wasn't for me, they would have found the evidence enough to charge him in the first place, Miss Turner said. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have found him at all. That was the reason they were able to find him. Jones called from a Text Now number, which is one of them little free apps, one of them free, like almost like a Google number, right? I called it back, and then that person called me back and gave me their exact address in the city where they were in, and I called detectives, and they knew exactly what neighborhood to search. So members of the Columbus SWAT team scoured the Victorian Village neighborhood where they found his abandoned car on Monday night. Just after 10 a.m. Tuesday, officers spotted Jones, whose head appeared to be freshly shaved, and approached him at the corner of Denison and 2nd Avenue. Jones exchanged gunfire with police and was subsequently arrested. So here's the wild thing. With him getting into a gunfight with police, I'm surprised. I am very, very surprised that Black Lives Matter didn't come out and talk about the police is doing this black man wrong, y'all. Days did him wrong. He's didn't do nothing. He's always been a good boy, y'all. He was going to school. He was educated, and he was just trying to go get a job and fill out job applications, y'all. Aren't y'all surprised that Black Lives Matter didn't come out and all of his minions come out and marching and we shall overcome and all this other stupid shit over this man? If he would have lost his life, I guarantee you the Black Lives Matter would have been all over this. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, I always try to remind people that y'all forget about the kids that we're even talking about. People want to make it to where something I said in a video, some comment I made, or maybe even some joke I made, and they make it seem like that was the majority of what I was talking about. They will argue with me, send me stupid emails, send me long, like they're going to excoriate me, like sending me these big ass long essays and stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute. And they mention nothing about the kids that were murdered at all. They don't mention anything about that. And I just think it's really weird, the fact that I continue to keep proving the hypocrisy of people. They don't really care about kids. Like Michael Jackson say, they don't really care about us. That's how the kids feel. They don't really care about kids. If you suspect child abuse, call the National Child Abuse Hotline, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, available in 170 languages. If you can't speak one of those 170 languages, something is wrong with you. 800-4-CHILD or 800-422-4453 or childhelp.org. Very easy to do that. If you see something, say something. Let me give you guys a fair usage. I'm going to show a couple of news videos.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
Y'all would do me a favor and please click that thumbs up and share this video. Let more people know where to find it. Here we go. Let's get it.
We're continuing to follow the death of Kei'mani Latigue. She's the 13-year-old who went missing earlier this month. Police found her body 6 days later inside a burned-out home in East Toledo. People have rallied around her since she went missing, and tonight more people came out to support one another as they process the tragedy. Andre Norrells joins us now in studio. Andre, is this about healing?
Yeah, Dan, people came to talk through what happened with professionals, with others by their side. And while we were asked to stay outside to let people find comfort and privacy, we heard from the community who did attend, and they say Kei'mani's life touched their own.
Kei'mani's death has brought awareness to everybody.
That includes Patricia Marshall. She came with her daughter, Sienna. She's a little younger than Kei'mani. Marshall says she's been talking to her about what happened.
You talk to your children, have conversations with them, you know, not just hi and bye, they go to the room. Make sure you sit down. We sit at the table and we eat. Sit down and get to know your child.
They were just two of the attendees at the support group hosted at the East Toledo Family Center. Its motto, strengthening and serving the community one life at a time. And that mission was on display at a support group following Kei'mani's death.
Events like this are tragic, and people have a lot of emotions around them.
Elijah Jones is with the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board. He says everyone grieves differently.
We often don't know what to feel, how to feel, what's right, what's wrong, but really all of those feelings are valid, and this is a place to come and process them.
It's a message echoed by Eddie Parker. He's a community liaison with the Ohio Attorney General's office and came from Columbus to encourage people to come together and talk.
In a crisis, it takes all of us to wrap around the community and the families, because that's where the healing starts.
That community was on display as Toledo City Councilman John Hobbs joined the discussion. He said city leaders have to pay attention when something like this happens, and he's listening to the concerns Toledoans are voicing.
We want to talk about this so that we can do everything we can do to prevent this from ever happening to anyone ever again.
As of now, this was the only support group planned, but additional meetings could be scheduled for a later date. Andre Norrells, WTWL 11.
To the new developments in the homicide of Kei'mani Latigue. Tonight, the girlfriend of the murder suspect, Darnell Jones, is speaking out. He's accused of killing his 13-year-old daughter, Kei'mani Latigue. Police found her body in an abandoned home on Monday.
Jones' girlfriend telling 13 Action News she called detectives when she learned he allegedly hid evidence in her home. 13 Action News reporter Alexis Means remaining on this story, on your side with new details in this case. Alexis?
Lee and Christian, she told me that Darnell Jones has never been violent toward her, and she told me that she doesn't know why he killed Kei'mani.
Kei'mani used to be over my house all the time, and we loved her. And now Now she gonna have to grow up without seeing her sister anymore. I mean, I don't feel bad for anything he going through, but her, she did not deserve none of that she got. Nobody do.
She didn't want us to show her face, but you can hear her voice trembling as Darnell Jones's then-girlfriend shares how she helped Toledo police with evidence in the case. Last Friday, police set up a meeting to question Jones.
The weird thing about it is because before they even showed up, he asked me to turn my cameras off. I have cameras in my house, and he asked me to turn them off. And I was like, why would you want me to turn the cameras off? He said, because I didn't come home till 5 o'clock that morning. And he didn't want them to suspect anything because he didn't show up till 5. And I'm like, well, thinking in my head, I'm like, well, if you don't have anything to hide, then why should I turn the cameras off? And I didn't, but he thought I did.
He wanted her to turn the cameras off. I'm just like, you know what? I will tell y'all this. The way that she played it, I think she had to have known that he is a violent, rather special individual. And the fact that not only did she not comply, but then she told on him after that, I say kudos to her. Good job, because that's exactly what needed to happen. And that's real courage. That's real courage. So shout out to her.
She and Jones have a 2-year-old daughter together. She says she was in the room when Jones tried to hide evidence connected to the case in her house.
After the police took us downtown and questioned us, I came back home before he did, and my family that was here informed me that he hid something under my stairs in my basement. So I called the detectives, and they came and did a search warrant and grabbed it. And once he noticed those were gone, that was the last time I seen him.
Police executed a search warrant. What did he hide under your stairs?
It was like a mat for the back of your truck, not a pickup, but SUV. You know, when you lay your seats down and you put that rubber mat in there to protect the back of your seats in case you're hauling something. That's what he rolled up and put in my basement. And his work boots, which were caked with mud. I never seen him put it under there, but I wasn't about to hold no evidence for him or none of that. He must have thought that.
Jones went on the run to Columbus, where he used to live.
After the search warrant and he disappeared, we left the house because I was scared that he might come back and harm one of us.
Police located him after he called his girlfriend, and she called police.
What's your name? Kill me.
Kill me. And Toledo police say that Jones is still in the hospital.
My daughter, there's no reason my daughter would ever be over here.
Today make a week she's been gone, and this is not right. We just want to get her home.
Praying for the best, but of course always prepare for the worst.
That was the family of 13-year-old Kei'mani Latigue. She's been missing for several days now. Earlier today, Toledo police discovered a body inside of a home on Miami Street in East Toledo. Police have yet to confirm it was her body, but according to the girl's grandmother, Kei'mani Latigue's body was found. Jeff?
As we continue to track this story throughout the day, WTOL 11 has also learned that the father of Kei'mani has been charged. His name is Darnell Jones. An arrest warrant has been issued for his arrest. Tonight, we have got live team coverage on this breaking news story. Silver Barker and Michael Sandlin have been looking into this story all day long. Silver joins us live from the home on Miami Street where that body was found. And Michael is looking into the case surrounding Kei'mani's dad. But we'll get to Silver first. Silver?
Yeah, well, Jeff, right here on Miami Street, there were a lot of people here earlier today trying to figure out what is happening as they were hearing the news that we were hearing of a body being found in this home. By the way, we know it's burned, but however, police tell us that it was burned before the body was found there, or was before this incident. We were here as well, of course, here on the scene earlier today waiting for information. We're still waiting for some information now. Now, while we have not been able to confirm with police whether this was Kei'mani's body, it it was taken out of the house and sent to the coroners. Kei'mani's mother, Tiara Caston, who was here on the scene also, was either shown something by police or had a conversation which we believe was to confirm whether the body was her daughter's. Moments after the conversation or whatever was shown from police, we then see Caston drop to her knees crying. But as mentioned earlier, we have not been able to confirm whether this was Kei'mani they found. We spoke to a cousin of Kei'mani's prior to police finding the body, and she tells us this.
I don't want to go to assumptions, but at this point I feel like we're looking for a body and not a teenage little girl anymore.
Now, we do know that this is still an ongoing investigation, so there are more parts we're waiting to figure out and find out, which of course...
Betrayal. Now, we did some digging into Jones's past, and he does have quite the record. Now, looking back, we can see that he had previous charges for domestic violence.
Y'all do me a favor, if you're watching this video, y'all please hit that thumbs up. I know we're live right now, so that helps us. It helps share this video. So a lot of people have not heard about this story, so help stories like this go viral. It takes a little while to get there, but we can all help in that process. Simply click that thumbs up. That's all you got to do.
Specifically an endangering children charge back in 2021. However, those charges were dismissed. He also had a felonious assault charge from 2017 that resulted in the victim being seriously harmed, and he was indicted on that one. Kei'mani's grandmother says this feels like a betrayal because despite his record, she truly thought Jones had stepped up to be a father for her, despite not even being her biological dad.
It was told to me that he was her biological father. However, her biological mother has told me on several occasions that he is not. So I don't know what to believe, but I know that he was present. He's been more present than the biological mom. And I feel deceived.
I'm going to let y'all hear that again. I'm going to try to back it up just a little bit.
It was told to me that he was her biological father. However, her biological mother has told me on several occasions that he is not. So,
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Have y'all ever heard that before? And I'm going to tell y'all, that is a old saying. Very old colloquialism. Mama's babies, daddy's maybe. There is no reason a woman should not know who her child's father is, considering the fact that gestation usually happens within 2 weeks. 14 days usually is when you get pregnant, right? So that means that if you are being irresponsible as a woman, as a mother with the key to your house, giving it up to everybody, letting anybody and everybody just come in your house with muddy shoes on, muddying up your house or shooting up the club, however you want to look at it, then I think that's irresponsible. And here's the thing. The responsibility of men and women are unique. Let me say that again. The responsibility of men and women is unique. Women have a unique responsibility. It ain't to say, men got a responsibility too, y'all. Of course, we all know that both parties are responsible, but women's responsibility is different. We value it in a different way. And that portion is very, very vital when you're talking about the conception of a child. That is absolutely dumb of a woman to not know who her child's father is. Let me give y'all a very simple example. 100 men can sleep with one woman. They could all plug the same chick. And those men would have no idea who the father is. One woman could date 100 men and only have unprotected sex with one, and she would absolutely know who the father is. Put that man in a room with 99 other men, let them discuss it, and they would all think, if we're all dating this woman, we all slept with this woman. How would they be able to figure that out? Only she would know if she had unprotected sex with one man or 100 men. It is very, very different, even though we try to balance the scales to make it seem like it's the same fucking thing. And I'm just like, I never thought in my lifetime we would have to explain something like that. And I guarantee you somebody's going to be in my comment section and try to argue that. That's a very, very simple thing. Very simple concept. A mother should know. A father would never know. Unless that man got you on lock and key and got you locked up in a basement somewhere, how the hell would he know what you do with your body, your choice? So the fact that you're sitting here hearing from a woman and this woman is telling you that the mother gave conflicting information, that lets you know that there's some bullshit going on in the city. Does anybody want to disagree with that? I'm not saying that any of this is justified, but what I'm saying is that if you're going to sit here and deal with a man who clearly rode the short bus when he went to school, this man had a helmet on and had the big crayons, right? This man had 3 lunch periods at school. This man, instead of going to class, got to play with toys. What I'm saying is that this man is slower than a bottle of molasses. And you're sitting here playing with a ticking time bomb. And you mean to tell me that you're surprised that he would act this irrationally knowing that he is a violent dumbass? I'm being funny. I'm sorry, but look. That's really the seriousness of this. What I'm saying is if you take yourself down to the thug zoo and you jump inside the thug lion cage, or you jump down there and you want to go play with the thug gorillas, and the gorilla decides to whoop your ass because it's in its nature, I mean, how mad am I going to be at the gorilla for acting like a gorilla? How mad am I going to be at a lion for acting like a lion? I'm just going to punish the lion. You're just going to put the gorilla down. Right? What was that other that big old silverback gorilla that they put down? What was his name? R.I.P. What was his name? Y'all know his name. What was his name? Oh my God. And everybody talked about that for a long ass time. What was his name? Y'all remember his damn name. Y'all will say it in the chat here in a little bit. So I'm not saying that absolves the man in his behavior. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is the man needs to be put down. He should have been in prison permanently a long time before this. The first time that the Harambe, thank you. Y'all remember when the world was going crazy over Harambe? Yes, he had 3 lunch periods at school. Yes. Just anything to avoid learning. Anything to avoid learning how to integrate into society, right? Somebody in the chat said, Mario, you are not the father. And that man went off and acted a plumb damn gorilla. Acted a fool. That very well might have been what precipitated this. Because I just think that for every thug fool, there was something else that contributed to it. Not always, not all, not all. I just think in this special situation, with all of these charges this man has, it just seems like that if you lied to him about the paternity of a kid that he thought was his, the fact that he kidnapped the kid, murdered the kid, sexually assaulted the kid, cut the kid's hands off, hid the body, possibly set the building on fire, that just sounds like it has his name written all over it, don't it? The bigger picture, we're just simply talking about motive, and I think that he never even should have been able to get to this point. I'm going to let y'all hear it again. Maybe I heard it wrong.
Dad.
It was told to me that he was her biological father. However, her biological mother has told me on several occasions that he is not.
Harmed, and he was indicted on that one. Kei'mani's grandmother says this feels like a betrayal because despite his record, she truly thought Jones had stepped up to be a father for her, despite
to me that he was her biological father. However, her biological mother has told me on several occasions that he is not. So I don't know what to believe.
So, not my words. Don't get mad at me. Don't write me no effing emails crying and complaining about this. Go write her some emails. I'm sure she's got an email address somewhere. She got one of them Apple emails or Gmail or something like that, or Yahoo. Maybe she might have an AOL. She's a little bit older. She's a little bit older than me. She might have an AOL account. Go email this woman your complaints. That was her words. She put the motive out there.
But I know that he was present. He's been more present than the biological mom. And I feel deceived. Like, you played for so long in my face like you was her dad, like you really had her best interests at heart. But where is she?
However, it's very important to note that we caught up with Kei'mani's mother earlier today, and she says that the grandmother is telling a completely different story from the truth.
So where did the grandmother get this story from? Y'all know I tend to try to be fair. I'm just saying, I seriously doubt if that woman just pulled that story out of her behind. I seriously doubt it. Do y'all think that the biological mother actually said that to the grandmother? Because I think she did. The mother said it, the biological mother talked about, I didn't say that, y'all. I think she did. I don't think she would just put that on you and make that up for no reason.
Now to continuing coverage of the death of Toledo teen Kei'mani Latigue. The 13-year-old was found murdered in a vacant home 1 week ago. And tonight, the man who police say is responsible for her death, her father, Darnell Jones, well, he's still in the hospital in another city. As we've reported, Jones was on the run, but eventually found in Columbus, where he was shot by police. As of this evening, authorities there are still not able to say when Jones may be extradited back to Toledo. Meanwhile, the Lucas County Coroner's Office confirmed that it transferred Kei'mani's body to the care of Brown Legacy Memorial last Wednesday. Over the weekend, we're told that arrangements and all community donations that were made to the family are now being transferred to Dale Riggs Funeral Home. Kei'mani's grandmother tells 13 Action News she is working on funeral arrangements now, but at this point, it's not clear if any of those services will be open to the public. The teen's mother tells us she believes she will not be invited.
I haven't received an invite, which is really upsetting. She's taken, my daughter's whole life from me. She's gotten a chance to be with my baby, and this tragedy is what came of it. I just want to be able to give my kid a good send-off, and I can't do that. She's not allowing me to do that.
Kei'mani lived with her grandmother, Dorothy Latigue, before her death. Late last week, the Lucas County Children's Services Board approved a task force that will investigate any systematic issues with the agency and also work to rebuild community trust following this tragedy. Meanwhile, the memorial for the teen outside of the vacant house where her body was found continues to grow every single day. We have all the details about the investigation thus far and how you can help the family and much more on 13abc.com.
A Detroit.
Okay, now I need to pause it here. I'm going to show y'all a little bit of this video. Let me make this bigger on the screen. And I want y'all to just see, this is an older video. Let me repeat. This is an older video of this man. And I want y'all to just take a look at this. And this just shows his level of instability, in my opinion. But I was able to find this video, and I just want y'all to take a look at this. So bear in mind, this is an older video, but it's just showing how unstable this creature is. It's a long video, so I'm going to skip through it, and I'm going to only play a minute or two. Here we go.
I do. That's the people out here, and nobody know what really the real stories be. So, you know, I just get on here, try to let people know what's going on. If you care, you care. It's just something mental. Today, what my issues is, somebody talk to me, get my mind off of all this bullshit. What y'all doing today? Look rough. Fucking fingers, I can't even bend my hand for real. I had to fucking overlap my fingers just to ball a fist up. Yeah. You have always known, huh? Hey, Randy. God got a plan for me. You told me God got a plan for me. And that's the reason why I keep going through all of this shit. Because he keep putting me through the test. When is the test gonna be over, bro? I just want it to be over with. I hate the way I think. I hate the way I see things. And all I do is sit back and try to just act like I don't see shit. Because if I do something about it, I'm going to jail. I'm the one getting in trouble. I just want to know what's the real purpose for me to be here, man. I literally like helping people. I like doing yard work. I like working with people in general. But yet, it's always, I feel like something is being thrown at me. If that makes sense. I don't know. But then again, I can't keep crying about shit. I can't keep putting myself down. Like, I got jobs lined up, y'all. I got shit lined up for like the next fucking month. To where I can make some money. To where I can live good. But it's just so much shit inside of my head that I don't want there. I'm just about to sit here for like...
Look, I get it. And the first thing people are going to say is mental illness. But here's the thing. Here's the prevalent thing. At the end of the day, The courts gave him all the leniency in the world. And at the end of the day, if you can't cut the mustard, then you can't cut the mustard. He clearly is not meant to be in society, nor was he ever. He was never going to be stable. I don't know at what point you start to put the onus on that person for his own decision making or own lack of being able to see things properly or whatever the case is. At the end of the day, here's ultimately what all of his life led up to. This girl, you kidnapped her, you killed her, you sexually assaulted her, almost decapitated her, cut her hands off, hid evidence, threw her body in this abandoned house or whatever, or however that happened, or burned up the building, I don't know. But your involvement in this situation is highly, highly probable. And for that, it's unforgivable. There is no more community service and programs and judges giving leniency and we's going to do a mental evaluation. All that shit's done and over with. This person has proven that they are not going to fit in our society. And all it's going to do is, as the older he gets, he's going to become more set in his ways, more violent, more stupid, and more stupid things are going to happen because of people like him. And at some point, you have to draw a line in the sand and just say, you know what? This person is not worth the risk to anybody else in society. And in this case, he killed this girl who did nothing to anybody. She was not able to defend herself. She had a voice as far as her being the age of 13 years old. Not a big voice, but a voice nonetheless, but definitely could not defend herself against the tyranny of a man that she believed was her father. And I think it makes it even more egregious, the fact that the biological mother, who I believe probably gave out some false information as far as him being the biological father, I think that that just proves that they are not putting this girl first. Whether you lied or slept with somebody else, something's very, very wrong here, okay? So to Kei'mani Latigue, Princess, let me get his face off my screen. So I don't want it on my screen. R.I.P. So there is much, much more that's going to happen in this story. So we probably will do a couple more updates. Let me know what you guys think. I think they need to lock him up, throw away the key, and that's just should be the end of his saga. He's not fit to live in society. So one of two things, either he needs to face the death penalty or face life in prison. There should be no other options, okay? Thank you.